Buenos noches, selection committee. If you've stuck with me this long, I'm very impressed because I can be long winded. But thank you for coming to Artifact and Reflection number 3. I'll share with you some data informed professional learning that I've designed for my colleagues. So, there are a few examples, just like on the other slides, but I'm only going to focus on one in my reflection, which is the one I'm most excited about. It's the professional development that our Inclusive Excellence team offered last February of 2021, right around the delivery of our first vaccines. The audience was the entire Mason Middle School staff, from paraprofessionals and nurses and library staff to administrators, everybody. And the creators were the two leaders on this were myself and Jocelyn Berlew, our other DEI lead in the building and sensational teacher and curator of resources. And then, as you can see featured here, the other 8 members or so of our Inclusive Excellence team. And what I'm most proud of this is it was truly an all hands on deck effort. Every person featured there had their hands in this in more ways than one. And Lauren Gentine called it national conference level caliber work, which knowing these people is no shock because they're sensational, but it did feel good to hear her say that. And we just got a lot of really great feedback from our colleagues. I know it sounds weird, like how could this be data informed? Like what did we measure? But we had conducted a survey in the fall of 2020 asking what topics our staff would like us to cover. And they had brought up that there were a lot of marginalized groups that they didn't feel like we discussed in our PD, that we covered racial equity a lot and well. But there were communities like the LGBTQ community that we really haven't done PD on, the special education community, which has so many nuances, and also areas of mental health. And so we tried to tackle some of those different areas in this PD while we were also charged with delivering the DEIJ principles. And the other thing is that each it was 2 people per principal co-leading their sessions. We were still within our principal able to cater it to topics we were really passionate about and felt knowledgeable about. So if you want to see the session I worked on, my co-host was Jillian Denman, and we completed slides 22 to 25, and our letter was inclusivity. And we chose to really highlight inclusive vocabulary. I got this idea when I was reading this book as Anti-Racist, because the glossary has tons and tons of terms, and they weren't just about race, which was actually surprising. And so I thought, wouldn't it be fun if we could gamify it, and actually teach the vocabulary, through the game. And because with my students that works, that always makes it more fun. And so we used a Mentimeter, and it was really successful. We were covering vocabulary from things like BIPOC to what the letters LGBTQ and plus mean to words like non-binary. And it was really great because staff had kind of this vulnerable environment to, learn these concepts in. Because I don't think what I shared this was all delivered via Zoom. The first chunk was the entire staff live, and then there were 4 breakout sessions that had their own Zoom links. And so you had this as a learner, as a staff member, you had a little bit of privacy in how you engaged. Some people logged on at home. Some people logged on from their classrooms. And people were kind of typing in the chat like, I'm so glad I'm not the only person that's never even seen this term before, or I'm so glad I'm not the only person that doesn't know what this means. And I don't know that you really feel the same way when PD is constructed and you're all sitting together in the cafeteria. Several members of the IE team last year were online teachers, and I was one of those. And I think we did a really great job leveraging our experience as online teachers into how to make this a successful PD, because we know that people can feel sticky even this many years into inclusive excellence. And there was just a lot of elements of control that the learner had, as I mentioned before. And we got really great feedback that people felt that this was just a really successful model. When I think of how this showcases my growth as an educational leader, the easy one is I'm not just a participant in sharing PD now. I am one of the leaders who is building it. You're seeing me on the front end. But I also kind of want to advocate other people to be leaders within as well, which I think is important. The covering of new topics, that was a huge new landscape for us. Not just covering things like LGBTQ plus in a PD setting, but giving people spaces to ask questions, or maybe even people expressing their beliefs a little bit differently. And us kind of being able to say in front of everybody, your beliefs are your belief, and you don't have to believe that, transgender is a real thing, but you're going to have students who come into your classroom who say that they are, and what are you going to do about it? Because you have to treat them the same as anybody else that walks in. And I think it gave us a really great opportunity to breach some boundaries that maybe we were a little reticent to do before. Another area of growth was, of course, the technology, and I've talked about that a lot. Just being able to not only build it, but execute it via Zoom and give people a model that isn't just the guy. I've got 12 of my colleagues sit around me, and I'm being asked on the spot how I think about something, and this guy over here is eating a snack and it's really distracting, and this person's on their phone. Like, it just offered a lot more of for the learner to focus in. In terms of the three big rocks, I think culture really came into play here again when we were doing that Mentimeter and showcasing vocabulary. How many people didn't know what BIPOC meant, or LGBTQ plus, or non-binary, or they didn't know what code switching was and how it happens all the time during the school day for our kids. And so we were using, the phrase a lot, let's be better today than we were yesterday, and better tomorrow than today. Because when we know better, we do better. And it's okay if you didn't know this stuff, but now you do. So how are you going to be a better, more sensitive, more empathetic instructor because of it, right? With personalized learning, the staff were the learners in this case, and there was just so much choice sprinkled throughout, from whichever breakout session that they could attend, to their learning environment, to did they want to turn off their camera, because maybe they felt uncomfortable at the topic, or did they want to send their host a private message. There were so many things that, like, we forget that our students benefit from them, and like our staff can too as learners. This PD showcases 3 traits that I think would make me an awesome addition to the learning experience designer team, whether as a designer or a DEI LED. I'm ambitious, I'm collaborative, and I'm innovative. And I've always been the first two, ambitious and collaborative. I've really shattered my own expectations of what I thought it meant to be innovative. And I had just put myself in a box that I was never going to be someone like that. And I just really think my year of online teaching and my 3 years being in a DEI lead role have really helped me push forward in a way that I didn't expect. So if you want somebody ambitious and collaborative and innovative, I'm your girl. I would love to work for all of you. And thank you so much for watching this.